All right, welcome to another episode of Warrior versus Zombie, and I'm excited to introduce another warrior to you, Susan Gold, and I'll come back and we'll tell you a little bit about her in a second. But first, let me tell you about Warrior versus Zombie. If you're just joining us for the first time or you've forgotten why you're joining us, success is a journey, it's not a destination. As warriors, we all have a history of ups and downs, wins and losses. They're all part of making us who we are up to this point and provide a foundation for our path forward. We all battle our inner zombie as well as those zombies in our world. And in each episode, I interview warriors who are aspiring leaders from all walks of life, entrepreneurs, artists, health practitioners, business owners, literally any inspired leader that has a story to tell. These warriors have a cause, they have unique value, and a vision that goes generations into the future. And today's warrior is absolutely no exception. Susan Gold is a true warrior. She's a marketing coach, an artist, networking maniac, self-proclaimed. She's a connector, a strategist, a mother, grandmother, and wife. Her 40-year warrior journey includes strategic marketing, sales, and business experience, specializing in planning, brand management, positioning, messaging, awareness building, demand creation, lead generation, and strategic sales support. Do you think she's into marketing? I think so. So her 40-year journey has been where she's held numerous executive marketing positions in a range of industries, high tech, professional services, financial services, industrial, and hospitality. And today, Susan is passionate about taking the mystery out of marketing and helping small and mid-sized businesses grow by attracting their ideal clients that make them money. And this is probably important to those of us entrepreneurs, they're a joy to work with. She lives on the Seacoast in New Hampshire, so I'm interested to hear about that right out of the chute to see how life is there. And when she's not working with clients, she's painting everything, including rocks, canvas, or cat. Oh no, that was an accident, not really. Sewing, she's into pocket gardening and enjoying the coastline with her husband, children, and granddaughters. And that sounds like fun to me. It sounds like my life a little bit, except the coast part. So Susan, welcome to Warrior versus Zombie. How's your world today?
Hi, it's great to be here. Thank you so much. Yes, it's a beautiful day on the Seacoast in New Hampshire. Took a walk earlier today, which is a splurge when you run your own business and you have to force yourself. As you said, it's the journey, not the destination, right? Go out there and think about the day and what I want to accomplish as the week rolls on. It's already Thursday. So yeah, just having Zoom after Zoom. I'm a Zoom fanatic, pivoted my business, and so I'm borderless now. So these are wonderful times to grow businesses using Zoom.
Yeah, and I think that I'm actually, my guest next week is in the U.S. Virgin Islands, and she's actually here, going to be here in the States. But you're living on the Seacoast there in New Hampshire. She's actually wanted to be on the beach in the Caribbean. So it's fascinating how the boundaries to doing what we have passionate about doing are shrinking and being eliminated, I guess is a better way to say it. Let me ask you this. So what's the weather like in New Hampshire right there on the Seacoast? Is it beautiful right now?
It is sunny. There's beautiful leaves on the ground. It's about, I would say, low 60s right now. And in the sun, maybe mid 60s. But fall is definitely in the air.
That's awesome. So I missed that. I actually lived in Michigan for about 18 years, and the color and the cooler weather here in Dallas, it's still supposed to get up in the 90s today, and I think it's in the 70s. It's sunny, it's beautiful, but yeah, I kind of like the fall time of year. That's always a fascinating thing for me. So Well, let's do this. I'm not going to spend a lot of time because I really want to get into your story and take a few minutes to hear about how you got to where you are today in this next segment. So let's take a quick break. And for those in our audio audience, we'll hear a little bit more of Ricky Jean Wright, and It's Not the Getting There. And we'll be right back with Susan Gold and Warrior versus Zombie. All right, we are back. And Susan, nice check-in. I'm jealous that you're there in New Hampshire and on the Seacoast and enjoying that beautiful fall weather and the fall colors and all that stuff. So I don't want to spend too much time on that, or I'm really going to get kind of depressed. So, or really jealous. So, but what I want to hear and want you to tell the audience today is a little bit about how you got to from where you started and to where you are today. And then we'll take another break and we'll talk about what we're doing going forward. So share that with us a little bit.
Sure. Yes. Well, the story starts about 40 years ago. I was a single parent of a young daughter. Hadn't finished my degree, my undergraduate degree at that time. So I'm trying to find a job. And the only industry that would consider hiring somebody without a finished degree in the early 80s is the advertising business. So I joined the tiniest, it was like 3-person ad agency in Concord, New Hampshire, and started from scratch and learned all kinds of marketing planning, how to work with clients across industries, B2B, B2C. And that started about a 10-year career in the fast-paced world in the 80s of the ad business. Wasn't quite Mad Men, because those days, the 60s and early 70s was a lot more fun, but a lot more money flowing around, limos taking you out for, 3-hour lunches and just like the movies, but that wasn't quite my experience. And then I leaped onto the client side. And when you're an ad agency person, going onto the client side is like a one-way trip. You can never come back. It's like going to the dark side. So I joined really large financial services companies and worked either as an in-house agency strategy person or as a VP of marketing, and learned all the big company stuff that comes with these really big Fortune 10, Fortune 20 companies. Had the pleasure of learning how to create television commercials, like little mini movies, big money, big budgets, a lot of pressure. Loved the marketing, the branding, the B2B versus the B2C side, but hated the politics. Just drowned in the politics and felt like, wow, it's impossible, especially being one of the few women at the leadership table, to really be authentic, be who I was, and have an impact on the clients and the markets. It was really about, what was going on internally. And so after, 10, 12 years of doing that, I went into the world of high tech, mid-sized, and thought, this is going to be great. Go to market strategies, in 12 weeks, you're rolling out new products at trade shows, and you get to really face the customer, and you really see what's working and not working. You can adjust on a dime, and it's just a very different world. Unfortunately, it is often headed up by, guess what? Ex-corporate guys, right? So it was lots of big politics in little companies. And then in 2010, whammo, moved to Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and lost a job. Company got sold, terrible job market. Decided, you know what, it's time for me to do my own thing. And I started Golden Partners Consulting, and my husband joined me about 3 years later, and really struggled in the New Hampshire market trying to sell strategic marketing plans to companies that, oftentimes, sometimes they had business plans, didn't have business goals, but they didn't want to be educated on strategic marketing plans. And so, I'll make the long story short for everybody. Really worked hard to figure out how to bring strategy in bite-sized pieces in an affordable way where I could still get paid decently for what I do, but I could be true to who I am. And that led me to create marketing coaching for the small business owner and bringing the really big business strategies and learnings across all markets to the small business owner that would never necessarily have that exposure.
That's very, very fascinating journey. And one of the things our audience always likes to hear, and you kind of skirted over them. And this is one of the things I always love about warriors is we don't tend to, if we're really successful in moving forward, which is what warriors do, we don't dwell in the places where the obstacles occur. And in your story that you just shared, one of the things we always like to hear is kind of the major, what we call zombies, major challenges. One of them I heard was, a woman in a man's world. The other one I heard is bureaucracy, corporate politics, plenty of that to go around these days. And that, so what in your words would you say is the biggest zombies that you've overcome? And these can be, personal and or, because again, we are our business, even if we're working for somebody else. What things would you say you've had to overcome either in your mind or in the environment that you were in?
I think over the years, like many people, trying to fit in, kind of starts in the playground at kindergarten and first grade and kind of follows you into high school and into your first job and then into corporate world, right? Or wherever you end up from a job standpoint. And what I missed out on was understanding my unique abilities, to the fact that I didn't fit in made me a better marketer, and that it was in fact a strength. And so, I think in the early 80s and 90s, being a single parent in an environment, in corporate America that just did not want to hear that, you had to leave early, and early was 7 o'clock at night. In those days, you had to leave early because you had to go pick up your child. Today, it's a very different environment. It's much more open to fathers and mothers of children who want to have a balance and be a part of their kids' lives. And, that's a kind of a missed, that's a trauma for me, being a warrior I just wasn't there a lot. And so that's a wonderful move forward for society. But I think, not fitting in is actually a strength of mine, because watching from the outside, being an observer and, being an advocate for the customer or the target market that a company is really trying to reach, I can have that perspective, the outside perspective. Now I pride myself on being that outside perspective.
Yeah, that is, there's some very powerful, both zombies or challenges that you just hit on. And again, I love the way warriors tend to couch or frame things, because we frame them in retrospect when we're talking about our story in terms of what we learned from it. And one of the things you said, which I find very, especially in the millennials, and I know I have a number of millennials in my audience, including my 5 millennial children that listen to this podcast. And one of the things you said was, I originally had the zombie of trying to please and fit in with everybody else and do things the way that they're being done, because I forgot that I'm first, my priorities first, and I'm a unique person in this equation, and my uniqueness isn't to be discarded or to be ignored. And in fact, what you said was, I had that challenge and it hurt me for a while and I had to overcome it, that zombie. And then now I've learned at this part of my journey that it's an asset, that it's something that if I'd have known earlier, that who knows where the story would have gone. And you can't go back, But the fascinating thing is, and this is something for every warrior listening to this podcast, is understanding your uniqueness and understanding and being self-observant and self-aware as to why you don't fit in. And it may be not a bad thing. It may be an asset. And in today's environment, the cool thing about it is different people peel off the zombie herd, right? And there's fewer people in the herd of just going along with the program and sacrificing all of their personal life for a corporate career than there was when you and I were younger. And I think today, realizing that there's more people that are going in your direction, but it's still a challenge. It's still a challenge today, right? You've got kids, you've got children, you know, you've got young adults that are and clients that are migrating, right? I mean, are you not experiencing?
Absolutely. Yeah, a lot of clients struggle with, in fact, being on Zoom and having to homeschool their children when school's not in session, and trying to help their clients and trying to grow their business. And as I would put on top of all that, trying to be authentic to who they are, which is, you know, the conversation that I like to have through my process of coaching.
Yeah, and that is the key. You just hit on it. I love we've had some couple conversations here, and I just love the way you process and the way you think, because truly that is the case. Is it's your authenticity, your uniqueness is really what needs to come forth in every environment. And I'd say that in your journey, that zombie is one that we've all encountered as warriors at some point, saying, okay, is this a problem or is this an asset? And then moving forward. Well, let's do this. Let's take a quick break, because we're now kind of talking about what we've learned and where we're at and where we're going. And so let's take a quick break, hear a little bit more of Ricky Jean Wright. It's Not to Get in There, our theme song, and I'll be right back, and we can talk about why you're doing what you're doing today, the value you see yourself providing, is which you've already kind of started to touch on, and then if anything were possible, what's the impact that you want to have. So let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Susan Gold and Warrior versus Zombie. All right, we're back. And I love doing this on the live and the hive, and people are going, well, why did you take a break? You didn't, you know, but anyway, so it's kind of fun. But for the audio audience, you heard music, and that's a beautiful thing. So Susan, before we took this quick break, we're gonna kind of segue into where you are today and the beautiful journey you're on, and all that stuff. So share with us that.
Thank you. Yes, what I see in the small business owner today are, like you said, a lot of corporate warriors who have put aside their zombie traumas and are trying to create something new, leveraging their expertise in a different way. And I think, you know, that whole issue around fitting in, either fitting in as a new coach or fitting in as a new consultant, or creating your own accounting firm because you've worked for someone else or inside another corporate entity. I see so many lose sight of who they are, what their why was and is, and how that being reconnected to that helps build the trust with the markets that they're trying to attract. So through that, I've created a marketing coaching for the small business owner, where it really focuses on what you said at the top of our session here, is attracting the ideal client. And how I define the ideal client is one that you love to work with, one that lights you up, one that brings out the best in you, and you feel like, oh, wow, I'm actually getting paid to do this. But also, not but, and also, is a client or a set of clients that have a need, an ability to pay, and a willingness to pay. So that ideal client that makes you money and makes you happy, while you're being authentic to who you are, which inherently can differentiate who that company is, and just brings a lot more joy. And when there's joy, there's creativity, there's so much opportunity. and through a program that helps direct their activities to attract those clients, identify those key messages that engage, and then knowing where those messages need to be, because a lot of times they're not in the right room to attract the right clients. And they're wasting time. They're seeing ROI go out the door, or margin go out the door, another quarter go by, or another year go by. And so getting that all lined up, which is probably, between authenticity and alignment, those are probably my two favorite words, because I see the world, whether it's in alignment or misaligned. It's not, necessarily in some cases bad or good. It's just that it's not in alignment. And making sure that you are in the right room with the right messages for the right clients for you just changes everything. And to see the joy in these business owners come back to what they, why they started this business in the first place, is why I do what I do.
It's really cool. Again, every time we've connected, I heard, alignment is also a very, as I think we shared before, is one of my key words, because as I look at warriors, and you've said, interestingly enough, you're approaching your clients and stuff very, very much the same way. When I talk about unique value, it's the people that come into your path, and it can be clients, it can be your family, it can be anybody, but you, whether you're a business owner or an individual, you provide value, and you're always your ideal client, or the person that you are able to provide the most value to along the path, are the ones that are obviously aligned, obviously attracted to that value proposition, or to that value that you provide. And then we're all on this journey, and we're not on, even though you and I are very aligned, I would say, we are not on the same journey. We are on journeys that are aligned. We're not in the same, even if, when you're talking to multiple clients in, let's say, the same general industry, they are also aligned, and we can learn some things about the other person on the way, but they're not going to exactly the same destination, because we all have a unique, an ideal day, if you will. Not only an ideal client, but I talk about your ideal day. I live my ideal day. You're part of my ideal day. This audience is part of my ideal day today, because I've made provision in my plan that this is what I'm going to do on Thursdays at 11 a.m. It's just, we're gonna do that. So let me ask you this. I love your vision and what you're doing and you're present with today on your journey, and what you're seeking to help your clients with, and get your own alignment and identify your own ideal client. If anything were possible, what kind of impact would you like to have on the world that you're living in right now?
I think just encouraging that spark in that entrepreneurial spirit, just like I believe everyone is creative. I grew up thinking I'm not an artist because I draw stick figures. And it took me till my 50s to even use the word artist, right? So I feel the same way. I think there's an entrepreneurial spirit in most people, if not all. And whether it's a nonprofit or it's their core business that they want to make a living doing, or giving back somehow, I think there is creativity and ideas that people want to execute. I want to create a safe space for being authentic and bringing that out in people. And we'll see where that goes, because it's early in my journey of the big vision. But it starts with helping the B2B business service providers being true to who they are, not feeling like they have to fit into a mold of being the classic CPA or the classic accountant or consultant or coach. That there's a lot of room for being authentic, being in alignment, and attracting the kind of clients that they really want.
I love it. That is beautiful. And that's a great, having that impact is broadly and as largely as you can. And one of the beautiful things about the world we're in right now, like with this show and this podcast, is we can get people aware of that people like you exist, and you can have a bigger impact. I mean, I say I want to change the world one dream at a time by impacting millions of people. And you say, well, how can you impact millions of people? Well, you start with one, right? The old
Right.
starfish story.
Often we start with ourselves,
Right.
right?
Start with you and then work your way out. And just like the old story, I don't know if you've heard the starfish story, right? But the young boy walking on the beach, throwing the starfish back into the ocean, and the old man walks up and says, why are you doing this? Look, the whole beach is full of starfish. You can't save them all. And he said, yep, threw that one in. I saved that one. I mean, again, you can do it. You can actually make a difference by doing it one at a time.
Yeah.
Let's do this. I'm going to take another quick break. And what I'd like to do when we come back, Susan, is you've hit on some very powerful, what I call warrior nuggets, things that we can take away. Give me kind of your finer point on a couple of those, or whatever you'd like to share in terms of, if we take away anything from this podcast, what would you like us to take away? And then we'll finish off by getting reminded or tuned into how we can stay in touch with you beyond this podcast. So with that, let's take another quick break, hear a little more of It's Not the Getting There by Ricky Jean Wright, and we'll be right back with Susan and land the plane segment of Warrior versus Zombie. All right, and we're back. And Susan, I so love this journey, and I know that our listeners and viewers, and whether they're live or doing the replay, or they're hearing us on one of the audio platforms, of all of which we are on. But as I ended that segment, if we take away anything from this podcast and the things that you've learned on your journey, what would you want us to take away?
I think reconnecting with your why. Why do you do what you do? What sparks energy for you? And then aligning that with people who would also appreciate that why and want to do business or network or get to know you better, become a strategic partner, an alliance. I think once you're really connected, there's a lot of talk right now. There's a lot of great resources around, finding your why. If you think you've got it, I say, ask yourself why 5 times, to get to the real root of your why. And once you have that, building that in, and then making sure that the 5 people you spend the most time with are aligned with your why, that your top clients that you invest in are aligned with your why, and who you want to attract in your marketing is aligned with your why.
Wow. That was so powerful. I mean, I got to tell you, again, not a surprise, we're very aligned. And the thing is that, as I always say, right, you are a product of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And if you're spending or investing, and I don't like the word spend time, I like the word invest time. I think we all need to view our time as our most valuable asset, in addition to our money and other things. And the reality of it is, if we're investing our time, why would we not invest it with the people that are most aligned with us? The other thing that you said that's extremely powerful that every warrior should take away is that it's easy if you are working with clients, and it's easy for them if you know your why, if you know your value, and you have clarity on how that's communicated. And marketing is an important way to do that, right? Your messaging is, though, you don't have to go run those people down. You don't have to sell them. They're there. Those people are just waiting to know that you exist. And that's the most powerful, whether you're doing your marketing through networking, whether you're doing it digitally on the internet or on whatever platform, or you're Be Connected, or whatever you're doing. knowing why, knowing the value you provide, and letting those people that are out there that have the same alignment with you know those are going to be the people you're going to want to spend the rest of your time with, and they're not going to be holding you back from your destination, from your vision of what your ideal day looks like. And I'll tell you what, my ideal day never is working with people that make me crazy, you know, right? Is anybody's ideal that I want to go to work today, whether you own your own business or whatever, and go to work and then be frustrated and depleted because everything either, you know, puts energy in or drains energy out. So it either inspires you or expires you. And so, right, I mean, that can't be part of anybody's desire. So why would you not do what you're describing? So that's every warrior should go back and listen to this again and write that down. So that's beautiful, Susan. Thank you so much for sharing that and reminding us if that's something that we hadn't have realized before and maybe forgotten. What is the best way for us to continue to stay in touch with you in addition to listening to this podcast again? And I know we're doing this in Be Connected on the Hive, so I know you're in Be Connected. I would encourage anybody that's hearing this in the Be Connected community to reach out to Susan, have a one-to-one. She's an amazing person to get to know. And I've loved the fact that I've been connected with her through the platform, which it's an amazing platform. But how else can we get in touch with you, Susan?
Sure. To make it easy, you can find me at susan@susangoldcoaching.com. And of course, I've shared this post about our podcast on LinkedIn and Facebook, so you can reach me there. But the easiest thing is at susan@susangoldcoaching.com.
Susan@susangoldcoaching.com. Well, that's beautiful. Well, Susan, I will probably end up doing this again. Maybe we'll do a drill down on some marketing stuff. I love the way you think. I'm sure that the audience. We have some other shows that we do, but definitely this has been a great journey. I've enjoyed our time together, and so one of the things I want to make sure is for all of the warriors listening to this podcast, we will be back next Thursday, 11 a.m. Central. You're welcome to join us live. We are also in the Be Connected community, and the replay will be there, as well as you can find us on every podcasting platform. I don't care. You can tell your smart device to say, play Warrior versus Zombie, and it'll bring up the latest episode, which is episode 44. Next week, we'll have another warrior. And Susan, thank you for being part of our journey today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
All right. Well, everybody have a beautiful day. We'll see you back next Thursday on Warrior versus Zombie.